guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Adeline's Horror World. My name is Adeline, but of course, you guys already know that. So last we left off in my review of The Dream Child, we went over the conclusion of Alice's journey as she battled Freddy once again while also trying to protect her unborn child from him. And I honestly found that film to be a pretty underrated installment of the franchise, at least for me. But with this one, oh boy. We're at the bottom of the barrel, everyone. Freddy's dead, the so-called final nightmare. So without further ado, do I have to? Yes. Oh man. Let's just get this over with. So Freddy's Dead, the not-so-final nightmare stars Lisa Zane, Shon Greenblatt, Lezlie Deane, Breckin Meyer, Deane Logan, Yaphet Kotto, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and is directed by Talalay. While there are 3 films that do follow this one, this installment actually does mark the ending of the original series of films. And unfortunately, it would be the point of no return for quite a number of years. And for good reason. A decade or so after the events of The Dream Child, deceased child murderer Freddy Krueger has managed to successfully wipe out every child in Springwood, Ohio. That is, with the exception of one final teenager who does manage to escape him, but not before being inflicted with amnesia after leaving Springwood. Traveling to a nearby town shelter and donning the name John Doe, he confides in therapist Maggie Burroughs about nightmares he has been having involving his trauma from Freddy. John, Maggie, and a group of other kids from the shelter travel to a desolate Springwood, where every adult is under mass psychosis following the deaths of the kids. Freddy begins terrorizing them one at a time as John and Maggie discover clues about his past, linking Freddy to a potential child he had before his death. With this information, they have to come up with a way to deliver the final finish to the Dream Demon before he becomes unstoppable. So after The Dream Child disappointed both critics and audiences alike, New Line Cinema saw that it was the second lowest grossing installment of the entire franchise, and they could only sit back and think to themselves, so how can we make more money? Let's end the franchise! And so we got this film. This was actually due to the fact that the studio wanted to move on to other projects that they wanted more focus on. So they decided to helm the 6th installment as the final film of the entire franchise. As a result, longtime producer of the series, Talalay, was hired on as director, and it's been said that the television show Twin Peaks was a heavy inspiration for some of the scenes in this film, as that show was filmed at the same time as Freddy's Dead. The movie was shot around Los Angeles from November 14th, 1990 to February the following year, and while not much is known about the filming process, it is noteworthy to mention that the final 10 minutes of this film was shot in, you guessed it, 3D! To be honest, I have no idea why they chose to do this. Probably to make more money and to appeal to teen audiences more. Yeah, go ahead and tell me if this worked for the film. Yeah, that's what I thought. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare was finally released on September 13th of 1991, and around the film's release, New Line actually held a publicity stunt at Hollywood Forever Cemetery in LA, which served as a funeral for the death of Freddy Krueger, with the majority of the film's actors in attendance. And as a result, September 13th is also known as Freddy Krueger Day around the world. But unsurprisingly, New Line got a lot of backlash for this, as they were glorifying a mass murderer, albeit a fictional one, and even Robert Englund heavily disapproved of this move by the studio, and I honestly cannot blame him one bit. To the shock of absolutely nobody, Freddy's Dead was critically panned worldwide upon release. While it made some decent money, critics despised this one, slamming the film for the way that it dumbed Freddy down to, quote, an annoyingly predictable boogeyman, and it was heavily criticized for no longer being scary, and they're not wrong. Rotten Tomatoes currently has Freddy's Dead at 23%, the lowest score out of the original installments, and the critics' consensus goes as follows. Reducing the once terrifying Dream Reaper into a goofy caricature, this joyless climax will leave audiences hoping Freddy stays dead. Well, damn! And now for my favorite section of these reviews. Adeline's Horror World Trivia Time! Did you know that this film is indeed not the final nightmare? Alright. We're gonna do some real trivia this time, I promise, don't worry. Did you know that one of the many screenwriters that wrote a draft for this installment was Peter Jackson? Yeah, the guy that went on to make The Lord of the Rings. That Peter Jackson. His original concept would have involved Freddy actually growing weak within the dream world and aging, and the teenagers of Springwood would have had slumber parties where they would take substances to fall asleep and kick Freddy's ass in the dream world. The concept actually isn't too bad, but of course, New Line ended up not using it in the final version because we can't have nice things. Did you also know that there is actually a version of the film that runs 12 minutes longer than the version we're all used to? When Freddy's Dead was theatrically released, the runtime was actually 100 minutes as opposed to 88 minutes, featuring a lot more character moments and introductions. However, for the home video releases, New Line decided to cut the additional 12 minutes out for whatever reason, and what we have is all that is available, with the exception of the German version, which still has most of the additional scenes. Finally, did you know that the main premise would have revolved around Alice's son, Jacob, from the previous movie? He was supposed to be who John Doe turned out to be. Alice would have been in her 30s, and he would have been 16, with Alice being killed by Freddy. Taryn, Kincaid, and Joey from Dream Warriors would have helped Jacob against Freddy, being labeled the Dream Police. Jacob was actually meant to be killed 2/3 into the movie to throw off the audience, similar to John in the final film, and his girlfriend would have become the surprise final girl. Alas, this never ended up happening. Look, let's not even waste any time. Let's just cut straight to what I think about Freddy's Dead. No, I am not going to be giving this film the same treatment I did The Dream Child. Yes, I did sit down and rewatch this film. That way I could give it another chance, and so my opinion could be more accurate for this review. And to put it simply, Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, is a complete and utter abomination. This is easily the worst of the original series, and it might just be one of the worst films I've ever had the displeasure of sitting through. There are little to no redeeming qualities in this whatsoever, and I was in pure freaking misery on this rewatch. There are like 1 to 2 tiny aspects that I enjoyed the teeniest little bit. So let's just get those out of the way before I have a freaking aneurysm. So first, some of the ideas presented in this film are kind of halfway decent. The idea of Freddy actually running out of victims to kill in Springwood, so he has to rely on the only child that's left alive to bring him other victims from other towns, that's actually kind of interesting. The execution of it is not so great, but at least it's something new. Even if it's kind of a rehash of Freddy using Alice to bring him victims outside of Elm Street in the 4th film. Next, there is one good kill in this film, and that would be Carlos's death. Sure, the scene leading up to it is pretty comical in a really bad way, but his actual death is pretty good. The act of Freddy using his finger knives on the chalkboard is very grating to my ears. It is done on purpose, though, to the point that it actually makes me genuinely uncomfortable. And the effect of Carlos's head exploding is actually pretty neat. So good job, movie. Too bad it's ruined with...
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Finally, we knew this wouldn't last long. There is a scene in this film that's pretty damn funny. It happens whenever Spencer, Tracy, and Carlos are stuck in the Springwood loop when they're trying to leave town, and Carlos falls asleep. His nightmare is him attempting to open up an endless map, which is actually a pretty clever joke that's hammered home in a genuinely hilarious way with this moment at the end.
Carlos! I asked you for the map!
What? Yeah, well, the map says we're fucked.
So, I'm not even going to bother with the mixed elements on this one. Let's just jump straight to the negatives of Freddy's Dead. And oh my god, where do I even begin with this one? First, jumping back into the halfway decent ideas that are presented early on. These ideas are completely brushed aside around 40 minutes into the film. New Line could have actually had a pretty okay story here if we mainly focused on how badly affected the adults in Springwood could have been because of them losing their children. We do get to see some of these scenes, but 1, they're primarily played for laughs instead of being disturbing, which is a big freaking mistake, and 2, we hardly get any of these scenes. Instead, the movie just becomes the Freddy Krueger show halfway through, and these ideas are just completely brushed aside, and they're never revisited ever again. And I freaking hate that! Next. Speaking of Freddy Krueger in this movie, prepare yourselves for some language, guys. I hate Freddy in this movie. No, not just hate. I despise Freddy in this movie. This is the point where you can tell that Robert Englund is just completely tired. of playing this character, and you can feel it with every single one-liner that he says. He's completely drained here. Freddy is atrocious in this film. The menace is completely gone, and he basically has just become a straight-up Looney Tunes character in this one.
No screaming while the bus is in motion!
He's not scary. He's not creepy. Hell, he's not even funny, and that's even worse. His design is terrible. Every single nightmare sequence is ruined by his presence. We'll get to that later. And his one-liners are straight up half-assed in this one. They weren't even trying at this point anymore, and that infuriates me the most.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too! Oh, Carlos, lend me your ear. Yeah! What do you want? Looks like a frying pan and some eggs to me. Now I'm playing with power! Great graphics. Hey! You forgot the Power Glove! What do you know? To beat my high score. Rounded! It's traveling time! Kids.
Next. I'm going to get a little personal with this next bit. I will provide a trigger warning for depictions of sexual abuse and sexual assault, and it's all to do with the character of Tracy in this film. So if any of that is too triggering for you and you can't handle that, please skip to this time code to move on to my next negative. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, Tracy. She has possibly the most disturbing nightmare sequence of the entire franchise closer to the third act. The scene showcases how severe her PTSD truly is due to implications that her father sexually abused her as a child. It's a scene that's incredibly disturbing, not only because you really want to root for her to overcome that PTSD, but also because I personally understand what she has gone through. I will not get too personal on this channel, but I've gone through something similar. I have dealt with a similar trauma, so I'm rooting for her even more to overcome that trauma and to prevail by the end. And the moment where she presumably kills her father in the nightmare and stands up to him is actually a really powerful moment that showcases her overcoming that PTSD. And it's a really good moment. And then Freddy shows up. And he completely destroys the entire point of this scene. All of the tension and dread of this moment is ruined entirely. Because Freddy's presence makes this scene so damn offensive to watch. His presence turns this disturbing scene of Tracy's trauma into a joke, which sends a terrible message to every viewer watching it, particularly the viewers who have gone through this trauma, such as myself. Sexual abuse and assault is something that should not be taken lightly. It should be taken incredibly seriously, as there are millions of people that have gone through it and are still going through it. By making a complete mockery of Tracy's PTSD, you have ruined the entire message that this scene is trying to convey, especially when Freddy ruins the tension by saying stupid fucking one-liners like this.
What's with kids today, huh? No respect. Kung Fu. This, bitch!
Honestly, whenever Freddy shows up, I just want to drive my fist into the freaking TV screen because this scene pisses me off with how offensive it is. I'm honestly tempted to make an edit of Tracy's nightmare that cuts Freddy out entirely and only has Tracy burn her wrists to wake up after her father starts to get back up after she wails on him. It would have made the scene so much more effective, but alas, that didn't happen because they just wanted to offend me instead. Next, the acting all across the board is probably the worst acting I've ever seen in a feature film. Jesus Christ, this acting is dreadful. Shon Greenblatt and Zane in particular sleepwalk, pun absolutely intended, through their performances, and they barely give a thousandth of an effort with their line deliveries. They didn't even try here. The other actors aren't all that good either, with the only actor actually giving an effort being Yaphet Kotto, and he isn't that bad here. Rest in peace, by the way. Everyone else, including Robert Englund, unfortunately, is absolutely atrocious in this film. The acting is so painful that I actually wanted to cry on rewatch.
Where are you from?
I don't know! Do you have to do that? You're such a high-ho, you know that? This relaxes me.
I can relax you with these 2 fingers. I'll just puncture your heart.
Super Spencer! Freddy won't hurt me. I'm family.
Spencer's gone. I couldn't stop it.
But you let me live!
No, it can't be. I remember when we used to hold hands together when I was a kid. I didn't like it then either. Freddy's dead.
Next, all of the logic from the previous films is completely thrown out the window here. This movie makes absolutely no sense from start to finish. The writing is incoherent and confusing as hell, and there are so many plot holes that are so obvious that they just take me out of the film entirely.
A few moments later.
So, full warning, I'm going unscripted for this section because I don't care. If I have to look at my script and my notes to refresh myself on certain plot holes that I'm going to point out, I don't care. Unscripted. I can do what I want. So let's go ahead and delve into some of the plot holes that are presented here. So first, Freddy having a child. It's already stupid that John would believe that he is Freddy's child because Shon Greenblatt was only 23 at the time of filming, and it is clear that the character of John is supposed to be 17. It is clearly said that Freddy died in the late 60s. There is no way that John could be Freddy's child. He would have had to have been born in the early 60s. He would have to be 40. That makes no sense. So that theory is automatically out the window. Also, Maggie being Freddy's daughter also makes no sense. The movie takes place in 2001, as presented by the opening saying 10 years from now, which presents all the Springwood kids being killed. 10 years from now would be after 1991. So it takes place in 2001. Maggie would have to be 40 to be Freddy's child. She would have to be 40. She was born in the early 60s. She'd have to be around 40, right? Lisa Zane is clearly 30 here. She is clearly a decade younger than she should be. So even though it is revealed that she actually is his daughter, it makes no sense. She should be way older. It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw 3D. We'll get to that eventually. Next, oh yeah, they steal plot points from the other films. How original, guys. And also, the nightmare sequences do not go with any of the damn rules that Wes Craven set up earlier. Freddy apparently can manipulate reality at this point. He never did that in the earlier films, but apparently he can do it now. And also, the characters being able to go into each other's dreams. You cannot do this willy-freaking-nilly. It didn't make the most sense when Kristen did it in Dream Warriors, but it was established that she had a power. And she was the only one who was able to bring people into her dreams. Even Alice having this power made sense because it is clearly shown to you in the Dream Master that Kristen transferred that power to Alice. So it makes sense that she would also have it. But here, the characters can just go into each other's dreams whenever they want to, like it's another Thursday. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. Like, just makes no sense. There's even more plot holes that I could get into, but we would be here for 400 years if I even attempted to get into half of the plot holes. Next. Spencer's nightmare sequence. Oh, dear God. So, this might be the worst sequence out of the entire franchise for me. First, Super Spencer sucks. Just like Super Freddy in the last film. Super Spencer freaking sucks. Next, this sequence is completely out of place in this franchise with how comedic and utterly ridiculous it gets. And I can't think of any other words to describe this moment. Please just show it. What the am I watching? What? This is supposed to be a Nightmare on Elm Street. These films are supposed to be scary. I can't do this anymore. They've lost their way. This is Robert Shea's fault. This is his fault. I'll kill him. I'll kill him. They ruined Freddy. They killed the series. Super Spencer. terrible plot holes. Looney Tunes Freddy! Finally, the way Freddy ultimately dies is so terrible. And I've seen Pennywise's death in It Chapter 2. This is supposed to be the final nightmare. The one where the characters actually successfully kill Freddy for good. And they could only think of killing him with a pipe bomb. A pipe bomb? That's all you could come up with? This is the laziest way you could ever kill off Freddy freaking Krueger. And I thought that killing him with the power of love in Freddy's Revenge was terrible. This is straight up lazy and half-assed. Yeah, he totally won't come back from that. Oh, wait. So overall, guys, thank God this review is coming to an end. Freddy's Dead is abysmal. It's just so freaking terrible. Almost nothing about this one works. Some of the ideas are fine, but they are brushed aside way too quickly. Freddy is just completely atrocious in this one. The acting is Razzie-worthy, except for Yaphet Kotto, who was admittedly trying his best with a really terrible script. The story is so nonsensical that I struggled to follow along with whatever the hell it was supposed to be the entire runtime. It's boring, it's not scary, and all of the jokes are either so painfully unfunny that they're eye-roll inducing, or they're straight up offensive. Of the original series, this is the worst one by far. But is it the worst film of the entire series? I have to save that judgment for when I review the remake, which I also don't like. But who knows, my opinion on that could improve. As far as recommendations, I can't even do that here. Just please, for the love of anything holy, avoid this film at all costs. I'm begging you, please. I'm going to give Freddy's Dead the not final nightmare a big fat F. So, I'm scared. What do you guys think of Freddy's Dead the Final Nightmare? Do you like this movie? Do you hate this movie? Do you love this movie? Or is it just in the middle for you? Let me know and we can discuss it in the comments below. Also, go ahead and let me know where this film falls in your ranking of the franchise. So anyways, be looking forward to my next review, which will be covering the highly praised 7th installment, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is also a pretty different film for this franchise. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and switch your notification settings to all. That way you can be notified for all future videos and content here on the channel. So anyways, guys, I guess that's pretty much it. Thank God this is over. So anyways, I'm Adeline. This is Adeline's Horror World. You guys already know that. I love all you guys to death. And until next time,